Hi, wonderful people. I'm Leah Rapaner. As a sociologist, University of Melbourne professor, founder of the Gender Equity Initiative, director of the Future of Work Lab, woman, wife, and mother, I've made it my life's mission to take down every ridiculous gender myth out there. Together, we'll deep dive into the research to get to the bottom of all these misperceptions that are holding all of us back. Don't worry, I've studied these types of questions for decades, and after publishing countless articles exactly on these topics, I know when they are nonsense or real truths. And I'm going to help you learn that too. So here we go. Let's do it. This is Misperceived. On today's episode of Misperceived, we're going to talk about the future of work. Let me tell you exactly how I'm defining the future work. I am talking to you about what does it mean if we're in the midst of this technological revolution? You all know that AI is coming or AI is here. We're living in this AI-enabled world. And there's a lot of discussion about what is generative AI going to do for us? Is it going to make us obsolete? Are humans going to be, gone? Or are we just all going to be replaced by machines? We've been doing a huge amount of work around this specific topic through our Gender Equity Initiative and the Future of Work Lab at the University of Melbourne. But we've given it a slightly different bend, right? We're actually asking the questions, what does it mean as the way we work starts to change? And what does that mean specifically for women? Are women well positioned for the future work or not? Should you be afraid or not? And what are you going to need to help prepare you for the future work? We've given these talks to a range of multinational companies, and we've talked to them about what their workforce should be preparing for. And on today's episode, I'm going to give you like a little abbreviated version, a little short snack. If you want us to come talk to your employer, if you like what we say, we're here. But also, I want you as a woman or a man on the other side of this podcast to start thinking about what is it that you need to be thinking about. I want you to be prepared rather than scared. So on today's episode of Misperceived, I'm going to answer the question, is the future of work bad for women? Is it in fact a misperception? Are women doomed? As I talk to you about this, I want you to start thinking about your job as being embedded within a system. So you work at a certain job for a certain employer, but you're in a certain type of occupation, right? So when we go, I want you to think of like different levels. You work in an occupation, in a very specific job that requires you to have very specific skills. So I want you to think about that tension between occupations, jobs, and skills. When we talk about what's going to happen for the future of work, we're often thinking about what's going to happen to big categories of occupations, right? What does it mean for healthcare or mining or sales or agriculture? Which one is at higher risk of AI exposure? What does it mean? Like, are AI systems going to come in and take jobs or not? And as I talk about this, I want you to think about AI as being artificial intelligence, right? And this is the way in which our computers are trying to replicate human brains and do kind of more sophisticated stuff. But then there's also this thing called automation. It's using a machine to replace our jobs. Now, we've used automation forever. So when you check out at the grocery store, if you do self-checkout, you're using a combination of automation and AI to do a job that used to be done by a human in the past. You become the worker, automation and AI replaces the job. That job disappears. Doesn't totally disappear. If you're like me, you can still wait in the checkout aisle. Because if you're like me, it takes you way longer to self-checkout than to have someone else do it. But that is something where there's this AI and automation coming in. So what does it mean if you work in certain industries, right? Is AI and automation coming for your job? And the short answer is it really depends. So in some industries, there's really high risk of things like AI exposure. So if you work in agriculture, or if you work in manufacturing, or if you work in mining, or if you work in information or professional services, then yeah, AI is coming in and it's going to replace some of the work you do. But if you work in something like hospitality, or if you work in something like education, or you work in something like arts and recreation or retail, AI is less ready to come for your job. Automation, though, is coming for some of these industries, right? Like we have to know that if you work in some of these industries like hospitality, there's a chance that your job will be automated. AI may not come in, but you might have automation. So let me give you an example. If I check in to a hotel now, I can often just get my key on my phone. I can check in on my phone. I can get my key on my phone. I can go to my room and I can just use my phone as a key. That's automation, a little bit of AI that's replacing a job. So I want you to think as you're going into this. Now, I know I'm like AI, automation, industries. I just want you to think about your own industry. Are you in an industry where there's high risk of AI exposure, where like the computer is going to function like a brain, or are they going to bring in systems that are going to replace you through automation? I want you to just go like, okay, I work in education. What am I seeing around me? What does it look like? What might accelerate? I want you to think in your own occupation, like what's happening around me? Are you starting to see things like generative AI come in? And I mean like chat GPTs, right? Like, what are you seeing? Are you seeing that people are using AI systems? Or is automation coming in? Just have a little bit of an open view on this. Start to see what's moving within your organization. Start to see what are the trends within your industry. I want you again not to be scared. I want you to be prepared. So start just observing because this is going to take a while to take hold, right? There's going to be a lot of trial and error. So in addition to your industry, like industries are big, but within those industries, there are certain jobs that are at higher risk of being made obsolete and certain jobs that are going to stay. And often those jobs are tied to the different types of skills that are within them. So I want you to think about like, okay, I'm in this job. I have certain types of skills and there's certain things happening in my industry. What pieces of my job are either going to disappear or what pieces of my job are going to become more important? And often what's going to happen is some of the basic kind of cognitive skills. This is like basic literacy and numeracy. This is data and processing. Those types of skills are going to be replaced by AI. So basic cognitive skills are going to become less important. Some of the physical and manual skills are going to also kind of decrease or decline in their relevance. And what's going to emerge is that there's going to be this demand for higher cognitive skills and social and emotional skills. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, wait a minute, I thought this is all about machines. Why are you talking to me about emotional literacy or cognitive skills? Well, the machines are trying to catch up, right? So they're trying to become smarter, more emotionally sensitive, but they can't yet replace the things that we are doing better than them. And so we need to be thinking about what are the things that you can do better than a machine. Part of what's going on too is that there's going to be some big kind of transitions that are going to occur. Basically, there's going to be a rise in care. And what I mean by that is that the care industry, we have an aging population who's going to need someone to step in and do the work. It's a big question about what that's going to look like. There's going to be transformation in the green sector in terms of energy there. And so you're going to see these demographic changes that are going to shift the way in which we work and the demand for labor, for human labor. And what I want you to think about is that some of these skills are these things that women are really, really, really good at. Some of the skills that are so critical for the future work are things like empathy, our teamwork and effectiveness, being able to develop good relationships, planning ways of working, being flexible in our thinking, having good critical thinking skills. We're going to need people who have more self-awareness and self-management. We're going to need people who understand their own emotions and triggers. We're going to need people who are good at self-regulating. We're going to need people who are good at working globally, right? Work with different groups. We're going to need people with a lot of self-confidence. We're also going to need people, and this is where women sometimes put themselves second. We're going to need entrepreneurs. We're going to need innovation. We're going to need bold steps and new design. We're going to need energy, passion, and optimism. We're going to need courage and risk taking. What I find is when I interview and talk to women, a lot of times they feel like, not me. I'm not good enough. I can't be the one. And I'm going to tell you right now, knock it off. You are, you can, and you will. And even more important than that, we are going to need you for the future work. We are going to need women's ideas, women's entrepreneurship, women's innovation, women's creativity, women's ability to see problems that often men can't see, and then work together in teams in ways in which they bring their specific skills to the workforce. We used to call these soft skills, no more. They are human skills and they are critical and key future work skills. You will need them. Women are also located in industries that are going to grow. Women are in industries like healthcare, women are in industries like education, and these are going to be areas where there is going to be growth. We need women in those spaces to step into their leadership roles. Now, if you're not in healthcare and education and you're like panicked, don't panic. You do not need to move to another job. But what I want you to think about is you are in a job within an occupation that is going to have specific skills. Some of those skills are going to disappear. Some of those skills are going to be replaced by machines. Some of those skills are going to be in less demand. But you actually, by the nature of being socialized into this role of a woman, have some of these key and critical future work skills. We run this program to help parents understand that the role of parenting helps them to build key and critical future work skills. The problem is we've only actually had women enroll in it, right? But men are doing the same thing. Anyone who has had a child knows that that moment out to caregiving is so growing, requires you to build patience, leadership, empathy, time management, and a range of other skills that maybe you could have gotten through 8 million hours of training, but you got just by the nature of entering this primary care role to a small child. You have to grow, you have to adapt, you have to build empathy, and you are building key and critical future work skills. We often talk about experience leading to growth. That lived experience can build skills, empathy, grit, determination. I'm saying to you, the role as a caregiver, whether you're caring for your children, your partner, your aging parent, is incredibly intense, incredibly emotional, incredibly stressful, but also in those moments, you are building resilience. You are building skills, and those are the skills that are key for the future work. The reason why I do this and speak with such a passion is that we often talk about we all need to be coders. Oh my God, we all need to be engineers. Listen, I am here to tell you, sure, learn a little bit about the system. You can't step into a tech space without understanding some of the fundamentals. But you do not need to all of a sudden reskill in that direction. You need to find someone who has a complementary of skills. And what we don't talk about is how important creativity, innovation, empathy, adaptability will be for the future work. And if I said to you, you know what I want for the future work? I want people who are empathetic, adaptable, good working in teams, can work across a range of groups. And I'm going to tell you that person's going to be a woman. Yeah, sure. It could be a man, but it's definitely going to be a woman. And so you are actually not out for the future work. You are well positioned. My goal and my dream is that women understand this because often they think, it's not for me. I don't know what's going on. I can't understand it. I got a sociology degree. Girl, I got a sociology degree too. And yet here I am telling you, you are fucking ready and you are critical for the future work. We need people with those kind of ability to understand different types of groups. And so your sociology degree, your English literacy degree, your psychology degree, your anthropology degree, your communications degree is even more important now for the future work. Don't think you need to be a coder. Don't think you need to go back and reskill and retrain. You need to understand the trends. Okay. In conclusion, is it in fact a misperception that women are doomed for the future work? Or, yeah, it is. It actually is a misperception. And no, the future of work is not bad for women. Women are actually critical and key for the future work and are bringing the types of skills that will be highly valued in the future of work. The only caveat I'm going to make is that if we know that, we need to make sure that we have the systems and structures for women to step in, to be entrepreneurial, to be innovative, to step into creativity, to try to be risk-taking. And what I mean by that is childcare, aged care support, money, resources, and support coming to women. We know that women have different care demands than men. We want men to step into that care, yes, of course, and in addition, support those who are caring, but we need investment in women, investment in women's ideas, investment in women's talent, investment in women's time. Start to see their time as equally valuable, if not more, and investment in women in the future of work. If you want to learn more about this, we have another episode on it. Is AI gender neutral? So I talked to you a little bit about some work we've done where we've shown AI is gender biased, especially the hiring algorithms. And I talked to you a little about what is AI and automation. So that provides another little primer for you to understand how the future of work is working and how AI and automation function. So take a listen. As per usual, I love being with you. I hope you like this podcast, and I hope you feel a little bit more relaxed about it. Thank you for listening to Misperceived, where you don't need a PhD. You just get to come hang out with me. Follow us on Instagram at Misperceived Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at Prof. Leah. Subscribe, like, rate, share. And if you want me to come in and scold your employer and give them this exact talk, email us because I have much more detail. I'll be more professional, equally passionate, but I'll bring in data and facts to show that we need to be really strategic in how we approach the future of work. And if we do that, we'll shine. But if we don't, we'll be left behind. Thanks for listening today, y'all. We're taking the 25th off, but we'll be back the following week. Happy holidays, and we'll have an episode for you in the new year. Can't wait. This podcast was produced with the support of the incredible Sophie Squires, the wonderful Kate Danger, the fantastic Rich Berner, and the one and only, the best ever made, Serena Reagan. I would like to acknowledge that our podcast is recorded on the lands of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people of the Kulin Nation and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening today.